Hello and welcome back to It's a Histocracy with me, Paul and Waffy. Today we'll be looking at a series of political cartoons regarding Nazi Germany that will be hilarious, but also informative.
Yes, many political cartoons aren't just memes, but opportunities that give away much of the Nazi rule period.
Do make sure you stay till the end, as the best and most informative cartoons are at the end.
So let's begin. Our first cartoon is this.
Oh my god. Okay, I think this cartoon kind of shows Hitler's inner weak power, because he's kind of like hiding behind his painting.
Yeah.
So his like power status looked high from the outside, but he's probably like kind of scared on the inside of war and stuff.
Yeah.
It's actually the fact that he actually failed his exam for the University of Art in Vienna twice. So it's probably showing he's a struggling artist.
And I feel like also because of and all these he's had, well, I think it also, like you could say, contributes to him what people think is mentally like affecting.
Yeah.
Because we know at the end of the war that he was with.
Yeah.
I forgot the health condition.
At the top it says he is urgent help and rest needed. So that probably means the same thing as you just said about his conditions. And at the bottom it says where it says mir is vor mir, it says I feel bad for myself, I think.
Yeah.
So that's
it could also refer to him being like it's called unfit to.
Yeah, let's move on to the next one.
Okay, so this is the Great US Sideshow. So it refers to the bids being connected of America and the Nazis. Can refer to how they were very agree with theories of racism, white supremacism, and
I think there were many connections between America and Germany at the time, because it's kind of like quite irony, because like the theories of like white supremacists and racism and stuff like that actually came from Germany and America, and they kind of spread towards each other. So I think what we see nowadays is like kind of like the results of that.
Yeah, like they were in agreement at 30s, but they end up being in the probably the greatest war of.
I think the America First actual America First concept is quite still very used like in modern times. I think Trump had quite a big input into that as well, because it's like, especially with like when we have like the vaccines coming out, I think we had this thing where like they wouldn't really give them out internationally. They would probably try and solve the population first. I think it kind of shows the actual values they had before.
Still had the values of you say colonialism, like the only thing care about themselves. Greater out. So.
This one's really interesting.
Yeah.
And the wolf chewed up the children and spit out their bones, but these were foreign children, and it really didn't matter. Yeah, I think if you see at the bottom it says Adolf the wolf.
Yeah.
I think that kind of like puts the whole puts the whole cartoon onto a point. I think it's because it's like it kind of America First kind of comes in much more here, because America, like, although they worked with Germany, they were against Germany. Well, they worked together with Germany at points, but they did kind of hate Germany, and they're kind of like obsessed with their own country. Like isolationism kind of comes in quite important here.
Obviously, it refers to how the Holocaust. And it's kind of funny. You could say how they were so anti-Semitic, really. From the last picture we see, and now they're saying it's chewed up the children, spit out their bones. Basically saying, and also saying like how the people there are brainwashed, almost. How could they fall for such a stupid leader, basically? So it refers to that as well. And then here's the stab in the back myth. Next cartoon, Star of David. Basically, it's Hitler's ideas of the Jews. Basically, the reason for losing the war. That's mainly what it's saying.
I think you can kind of see that because of the Star of David on
on the cap.
Yeah. I think the thing is, it's kind of like related to Hitler's. Like that's what kind of got his hand.
That's what it kind of got. Yeah.
Yeah. Because apparently there's a story that he was like sitting on his deathbed with like his eye with gas and stuff, because he had been like had a gas attack or something.
Yeah, he was in hospital in the
and then he got to know that the Nazis, the Germans had surrendered.
Yeah.
So I think moving on to the next one, here it displays. So the Nazis are bringing in people, but then it's just leading to concentration camps and anti-Semitism.
Yeah, the hands are being chopped off by the Nazis.
Yeah, and they're being tricked into coming in, but they don't know, and the Jews don't know what's going to happen to them. So it's just the ultimate realization.
Because they were told that it was like that they're getting educated again or something. So I think it's quite a controversial topic. But, and the thing is, and this is still happening now. I think in China they're having something like this now against other people.
Yeah.
Which is
I think this is definitely US propaganda. Because you could sort of tell from "Come On Sam," which is a very American name. Sam is always.
I was like trying the manicure, but then the hands being chopped off.
It's really just cutting off the hands being chopped off. First to again, like you say, brainwashing. Really, turn them into that certain belief of anti-Semitism was from Nazis. So, first to that. And then in the next picture, we see Hitler and Stalin talking about how basically they're standing over a body, talking peacefully. You could say, bowing for each other.
It says the scum of the earth, I believe.
Yep, the bloody assassin of the workers, I presume. So they're referring to that the workers did it, not them. So it's just like
it's really ironic though, because they're kind of like leaders and they're also being workers. So.
Yeah, and also obviously at the time how they really didn't care about people. It was more just about power.
So, and then also at the time, they're both trying to take Poland together, and it's just showing their hunger for power.
It did. Hitler obviously does betrayal. Stalin later.
So I think moving on to the next one. Here we have, so if someone's branded being Jewish in any sort of way, if it's only slightly related, they're publicly shamed for it, and it's calling them an evil demon as if they're possessed.
I think it was actually quite this cartoon, although it was like kind of funny. I think it's still like really depressing at the time though, because like it was actually at the time this was actually a very big problem, because I think it's actually very hard to understand, because Hitler I think already had a Jewish heritage, like part Jewish heritage.
Yeah.
So I think it's very hard to understand on why he would do such a thing when.
I think is it from his mother's or father's side?
I think I'm not actually sure.
If it's from his father's side, it makes sense, because his father really hated his father because he used to beat him.
Yeah, but also in the picture it compares Jewish people like as an inhumane, compares them to a bird, so it doesn't give them like a proper life.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point as well.
Yeah. Public notice as well. So. Next one, sounds bit mean on Trump, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I think it represents modern ideas, and I think although it's like this one's much more of like a meme, I think it does represent like how the spreading of ideas went from Germany to America. With the couple of pop cartoons we saw at the start.
Country first sort of mindset. So go on to the next one at least. And then here we have Hitler basically jumping over democracy and the spineless leaders, referring to how the leaders are basically almost inhuman at this stage, that Hitler's actually probably, you could say, killed most of them as well.
That's true.
And then also can refer to Weimar's failures and Hitler's rise to power being like so, you could almost say easy in a way.
I think it's also because I think you're right when you said that Weimar's collapse was really easy, because I think it was because as it collapsed with like the depressions and stuff like that, I think it became really easy for Hitler. But I think when it says spineless leaders of democracy, I think that's basically what kind of creates that collapsing of Weimar.
Yeah.
But I think it also shows that Hitler's kind of like showing off his power.
Yeah, basically.
You can tell by his like what he's doing with his hands. He's being a bit childish in a way, as like showing off, saying how much power he can take, and like showing he's like the top.
Yeah, I think when like what Hitler's action is, when like people just like get finished a meal or something and just like clap their hands together to like shake off crumbs or something. It kind of seems like he's just like finishing off Weimar or something.
Yeah, basically.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
On to the next one.
Anyway, let's move on to the next one.
So here
Trump sounds like a little fat hair, but
yeah. It basically just shows Trump being big, and also compared to the Nazis. He's also walking away from the group of 7 leaders, the G7 summit, showing that he wants to claim his own independence.
I think there's one thing that you just seen here. That I think in the one we saw with the bird. If you actually see it at the top of Trump's hat, it's the exact same hat that was on the Jewish bird.
On the Jewish bird,
I think that's probably suggesting that the anti-Semitism when Nazi was happening actually came from America as well. So I think that's quite.
It was also on the picture of the guy that was getting his hand.
Yeah, it was.
So I think it refers to that, and then also him going away from Group 7 is basically like turning into their own, like Germany. They started to become their own sort of thing, taking powers, only care about themselves. So it refers to that.
And it also shows again. There's the American flag saying America first, but me is also highlighted, showing that he wants full control.
Yeah.
Furthermore, it actually says we thought it went great, but for some reason everyone else in attendance was in a foul mood. I think the fact that it says you bow before me kind of suggests that America is trying to take the power, but then
they're trying to take away from democracy, basically.
International peace. Yeah.
And it's also, you can also say it's a very democratic and or it's in the Democratic Party I'm talking about in America, anti-Trump basically. Talk about how you can almost say it's delusional. That he thinks it was a great, but really it was not that great. So.
Yeah.
On to the next one.
Hitler as a fool.
Yeah.
Well, I think All Fools' Day in Germany. It says Chancellor Hitler as a retaliation for the false statement that basically Hitler and Nazis are persecuting Jews. Well, I think if you look at Hitler closely, he's wearing a fool's thing, but I think he has a hammer, and then the glass is shattered. So I think this actually might link to like Kristallnacht or something, because I think at this time I think Nazis were boycotting many Jewish shops, so I believe that this could be somehow related to that as well, and how Jews were discriminated against.
I'm not trying to be rude to the gentleman who has the bag or the glasses on.
Yeah.
But he seems a bit inhuman. Like he doesn't.
Yeah, I think they're trying to depict him as like a different animal.
A brainwashed as well, sort of.
Yeah. I don't think they're depicting him as a human. They might just be trying to discriminate further.
Yeah, but also relating to the hammer in Hitler's hand, it could relate to sort of like being a judge and how he's demanding sort of like equality, and how like in a way he's also taking control again, that he's demanding for things to happen.
Yeah. And then he's explaining to the person that he's like, that isn't human, you could say.
Yeah.
That's fine. So yeah.
Well, anyway. that was the last one.
Yeah.
So let's rank them then. Okay, so let's just decide which one has our favorite one and state why. Well, so I think I'll start. I think the one where you have the spineless leaders of democracy, which is in like the second half of the cartoons that you did. I think that's probably my favorite one, because I think it kind of has like a very informative thing on Weimar Germany, but then also like Hitler's dictatorship. So I think that's personally the reason I liked it, and also like the way it depicts Hitler, because it's not really like depicted as like a formal like famous leader. He's like more depicted as like a more childish person in this cartoon. So I think that's why this one's my favorite. What about you?
Okay, I'm actually gonna do one that I thought about a bit, but I'm actually gonna do the Star of David one, actually, because I feel like the way that the guy, the Jewish man is stabbing, it's almost, you could say, exaggerated how Hitler thinks that Jewish feel. Like they feel like they're finding happiness in doing this, like him smiling.
Yeah.
And then also you can also say like the big nose. I think like having a big nose can also refer to lying a lot. So how Jews are actually really bad. It's like maybe you can almost say like Hitler's dream painting. You could say about how he feels about Jewish, and also how the Germans are so hardworking. like they're very devoted to war, while Jews are just doing this very stupid action, basically, you could say.
Yeah.
So I think that's my favorite.
And what about you, Daniel?
I think personally for me, it's got to be Hitler and Stalin dancing over the body and like talking together, because it's like very ironic, and like, even though they both hate each other, they're sort of like having some like fun together, which is quite ironic again, and it just simply reflects the hunger for power whilst having a quite nice relationship. So that's why I believe like that's the one that I think is the best.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
great.
Well, that's it for today, and make sure to comment on your favourite cartoon in the comment section down below.
And don't forget to like this podcast and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next podcast. And it's a Histocracy.